run great. He has a strong run defender off the edge, but as a pass rusher, I thought a little bit more work. That pass rush specialist that these teams have will have to get the most out of Michael Williams, folks.
He's got the things that you cannot teach, the traits, the height, the arm length, the ability to set the edge and play the run. We know he's technically sound playing at Georgia in the way Kirby Smart coaches defense. The only concern I have is when it comes to using those traits and getting to the passer, I didn't see much of a rush plan, Lou. I didn't see any moves besides the speed to power. He's going to have to continue to develop the moves because when you get to the National Football League level, just the traits won't win. You have to have more than traits. You need to be able to have a pass rush arsenal. How are you going to beat the offensive tackle and get to the quarterback? John Lynch loves him. He loves defensive line. You're going to pair him with Nick Bosa, create two bookends. But is he going to be able to live up to this feeling as far as the pass rush arsenal? I want to see that.
Yeah, they needed to restock the cupboard in San Francisco on defensive line. This used to be, that position used to be the heartbeat of that football team, both lines of scrimmage, in fact, defensive and offensive line. They need to restock that. Michael has not produced on a consistent basis the way you would think his measurables should bear themselves out. Mel mentioned the fact that he was injured. Or this year, he said himself, he played at maybe 60% most of the year. He's got to tie it all together. Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator now for San Francisco, has to get it out of him.
Michael Williams, the first player ever out of Georgia to be selected by San Francisco in the first round in the Common Draft era. And so the Dallas Cowboys selection is in. An interesting one to make with their new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer. Here comes the commissioner to the stage. The Cowboys at 12, ready to make the selection.
With the 12th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Tyler Booker, guard, Alabama.
He was a first-team All-American who just turned 21 2 weeks ago. Grew up in New Haven, Connecticut. Headed down to the IMG Academy where he was coached by former linebacker Pepper Johnson. Played in 38 games at Alabama, started the final 27. All but one of those, Mel, was at left guard.
Yeah, he's a powerhouse inside. He will beat you up. I tell you, it's a heavyweight fight when you go up against Tyler Booker, and you better bring it because he will beat you up. As a run blocker, he'll drive you off the ball. He never stops. He sustains. And I thought he was in pass protection, book. Outstanding. Now, he's phone booth guy. You want movement? It's got to be scheme fit. Movement's not his game. But as a guy that has a power blocking team, he can drive you off the ball. And I thought, like I say, his pass pro skills at Alabama were excellent.
And I love this pick for the Cowboys. One Hall of Famer retires in Zach Martin, and you draft another guy who's I think has that kind of potential as a guard if you use him the right way. His power, his ability to take a man and move that man against his will. That's what the offensive linemen try to do. He can do that with the best of them, Greeny. Understand how to use him. You don't need to pull him around the edge and allow him to get on corners. Allow him to go downhill and displace the defenders and climb to the second level. This is a need pick. I think he's the best guard in the draft, and it fits what the Cowboys had to do.
But building the trenches is something that Dallas is trying to do, right? I mean, Tyler Booker, he's someone who, at 6'4" and 321, but I thought when he did get locked on to people, when he did, he could actually absolutely move some people. He'll probably play the right guard. Tyler Smith will play the left guard. And you see him here on some of those combo blocks. When he's able to get his hands inside and get his legs moving, he's going to get some surface removal. He's going to get some people knocked off the ball. I did think, he got a little top heavy, got out over his toes some. If he went up against a good three technique, was able to get on his edge and make him move laterally, he got a little top heavy. But look, that's why offensive line coaches are the most important coaches on a football staff, minus the outside of the head coach. And Dallas is going to have to make sure that they develop this young man, get him consistent with his fundamentals, so they can get it all out of him. And there's more plays like that you see on your screen than not.
So Alabama, by the way, now 17 consecutive years that they have had a player selected in round one. 16 had already been the longest streak for any school in draft history. So our colleague Nick Saban, very proud, no doubt about that, in his retirement doing the telecast tonight for us on ABC. So Bama once again with a first-round player, and the Dallas Cowboys making their selection there at number 12, which leaves the Dolphins on the clock here at number 13. And the Dolphins, an interesting team, to consider here as a fight in that AFC East. We should have Molly in a moment here with Tyler Booker and the joy, the unbridled joy that he brought out onto that stage. Just such a joy to watch as you see the emotion of a young man having this opportunity to be drafted by the Cowboys, obviously becoming a household name. Certainly we talked about plenty on Get Up all morning long. Let's talk to Verizon Business. Takes us down to the stage, and Molly McGrath is with Tyler Booker. Molly.
Tyler, a lot of emotion from your family in the green room. You came out onto this stage with a lot of emotion. What's going through you?
I'm just glad to be a Cowboy. This is really a dream come true. It's truly a blessing. I actually trained in Dallas, so I fell in love with the area. And the whole process, I was like, man, it would be great to be a Cowboy. And the Lord works in mysterious ways. Shout out to God. Trust and believe in God. If you're ever going through something, like just trust in God, he got you.
Those who know you emphasize your leadership and character. What are the Cowboys getting in you?
They're getting the same thing Alabama got. They're going to get a leader, somebody who loves to work, somebody who loves practice, somebody who loves his teammates, somebody who's going to aim to win multiple championships. I can't wait to further this tradition of success in Dallas. I'm so excited.
Congratulations, Tyler.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Booger, you were talking about in our meeting this morning, the emotion of moments like this. Look at him and his family. And now, as we continue to watch the celebration of these young men, we also bring you tonight something special from NFL star George Kittle and his friend Red Guardian from Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts, which will be available only in theaters on May the 2nd. To number 2 with the Browns. The 8th pick is in the Carolina Panthers, and here's the commissioner.
With the 8th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Teteroa McMillan, wide receiver, Arizona.
Oh, so that one isn't what we expected. Outstanding player. They call him T-Mac. He was born in Hawaii. Went to Arizona as the highest-rated recruit in the history of that school. Mel, his last 2 seasons, he had 174 catches for over 2,700 yards and 18 touchdowns.
Yeah, he had drawn comparisons to Mike Evans over the last couple of weeks. Everybody thought maybe Jacksonville, right, with Liam Cohen would go that direction. They, in fact, moved up to get Travis Hunter. Think about where we are with Teteroa McMillan. He's 19 right now on my big board. So he is a reach. I thought Matthew Golden from Texas would be the first receiver taken, but hey, the ability to make the contested catch is his forte. That's why Drake London was a comp, and certainly Mike Evans. If you want to stretch it to Evans, I would not do that. I think when you look at Teteroa McMillan, doing it against college cornerbacks, not being able to get great separation is the reason why I thought his stock dropped a bit. We've all talked about he loves volleyball, right?
Atlanta until they moved him inside in the slot and allowed him to get some freer releases. So will they have to move T-Mac inside, or can he get open on the outside?
Well, which is where he played plenty at Arizona. He played in the slot quite often in Arizona. And Jed Fish, who coached him down there before he left to go to Washington, did some really nice things with him as far as getting him on linebackers, getting him on safety, where he could use some of that subtle movement in the way to get open. And his catch radius is something Bryce Young's going to absolutely need. And you're right. As you see him here hugging the commish, all these guys, you can just see like the relief that they have when they go up here. But Ted's going to have a good career in Carolina. He just needs to make sure he takes care of business.
A very nice moment there as he placed the lay on the commissioner there. Teteroa McMillan was a very proud winner of the Polynesian Player of the Year awards, both in high school and in college. So that's a lovely moment there. By the way, he was a high school teammate of Mason Graham, who was drafted earlier tonight. And our teammate Teddy Bruschi is celebrating as Teteroa McMillan is the first Arizona wide receiver ever selected in the first round of the NFL draft. So an interesting move here by a Carolina team. This was the first thing we've seen that had not been forecast pretty much anywhere that I'd looked.
Well, because we thought Carolina was going to go defense, but I get the fact we needed.
Đây xăm trỏ ăn không ạ?
Là con lần đi nó ăn rất nhiều con.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vào vòng. Hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là bong bóng. Mọi người hơi vòng sẽ có là không bạc. Bây giờ mình bắt đầu nói luôn.
Có mấy sáu thì nó tự nhiên nó lấy rồi. Nó bảo nó có cho nó rồi nó bảo là sau ta cũng kéo tao sau này mù.
hồ sơ.
Đi để đây này đi.
Con Dương được bắn lương rồi ấy không?
Đòi tiền rồi.
Bọn mình từ giờ đến tối không? Hay trong mai?
Để đây này.
20 là Tết à? 20 có lương à?
Em trả được bao nhiêu em nghỉ suốt.
Giỏi thì
Chiều đi ăn cơm để ăn cơm rang.
Mà trả bắn đi. Bọn lớp mình toàn được cuối thôi. Lớp thầy chuẩn.
Vào.
Thế giờ mày với tao gộp lớp đi rồi, lớp thầy chuẩn rồi.
Mình thì đây.
Cút đi, tao cũng chả thích đâu. Chẳng cần. Cứ một vẹt nha.
không cần lương à? Không cần lương à?
Nó bảo là lớp mình nào ở đây. Đi thực tập gộp thầy rồi thì em bảo lớp mình nó không nhận thì thôi. Lương có người nào ngu đâu mà không lấy.
Đấy mòn nó đeo tay nghe bảo.
Để nó phát
Nhất ảnh.
Video của chị cô Quỳnh ạ. Xoay này đi làm chơi. Hả? Xoay này đi làm. Có làm ở đây.
Hôm nào trả ra.
Rồi, đã em hết rồi đấy. Ra.
Mày đi làm đi để đi qua đón ta cho ta đi.
Gì?
Gì?
Áo gì to?
To đúng không?
Đi làm thôi đi qua đón ta thôi.
Người to áo to.
Tao thích mặc to à?
Người to áo to.
Gì dài?
Đó tao đưa cái áo bé của tao cho mày mặc vừa không?
Dép to. Bởi áo vậy. Đứng sau.
Càng ngày càng phải tăng kích cỡ rồi.
Tăng gì em tụt rồi. Không phải lo, yên tâm. Ăn mất của anh đồng nào đâu, ăn mất của anh nghìn nào đâu. Anh cho em được miếng gạo miếng cơm nào đâu.
Ai đã làm gì, ai đã nói gì?
Vừa nói xong mày bảo anh nói gì?
Bảo mất thằng này nó béo.
Người thì rồi, nói ít thôi. Cưới cái tầm á.
Cưới đi.
Nói ít thôi.
Nhà chị anh Sơn với nhà chị Bắc chuẩn bị có anh Sơn cưới, bạn thân chị Ngân em đang mấy đứa đang khóc dở chết dở kìa. Dở cho đi chỉ vàng đấy. Tao biết chọn năm cưới. Vương Quang Đức cưới thì em bế cháp cho nhà dâu. Ú hồn.
Sang tháng cưới đúng không? Tháng 3 nào?
Mùng 5 tháng 4 bế cháp rồi đây.
Nhưng mà tháng 3 cưới đúng không?
Chắc thế. Thế giờ đang tháng mấy anh?
Giờ đang tháng 2.
Thế thì chắc tháng 3. Em giảm cân để em mặc áo dài đấy. Đừng có đùa.
Ghê vậy. Chụp ảnh cho đẹp đúng không?
Đẹp
Thế
cái
hôm nay là 21 rồi đây. Có kịp không?
Không.
Thế nói để cho sướng một.
Nếu
Cứ dần. Không được thì để 30 tháng 4 đi chơi.
30 tháng 4. Giải phóng miền Nam xong rồi ra. Được, hợp lý.
Đi chơi đi. Nghỉ mấy hôm liền mà.
30 tháng 4 mùng 1 tháng 5 anh cấm.
em cỡ. Con này định vô thế.
Việc. Lúc đấy mà